was thinking about this idea of comparative fallenness. Here he's saying, I am most fallen. Most samo patita prabhu nahi tribhuvane. There is no one equal. Sama means equal. Most samo, I think is kind of shorthand for my mora sama. There's no one comparable to me in fallenness. You know that story about the devotee came to Prabhupada, threw himself at Prabhupada's feet and said, Prabhupada, I'm the most fallen. And Prabhupada said, you're not so special. What an instant deflation of ego, like poking a pin. Yeah, like poking a pin into, you can keep the table. Yeah, like popping a balloon. So some comparison is there. Whoops. On the other hand, we're all in the same boat, as we say in English. You have such expression in other languages. We're all in the same boat. Means we all have the same trouble. We're all in the ocean of birth and death. So we might be more or less fallen in terms of how we are living our lives in terms of the modes of nature. Maybe we're very sattvic, that's good. Maybe someone is very tamasic. It is what it is. We're all in the same boat. So, Patita Pavana, he's saying in the song that you, Lord Chaitanya, are Patita Pavana. You are the purifier of the Patita, those who are fallen. And he's challenging, are you really the purifier of the fallen? Because if you're not going to be saving me, then how can you be called that? Kiser lahi. Okay, and what is the verse? The Shikshashtaka verse. Ayi Nanda Tanuja Kinkaram Patitam Mam Vishame Bhavangudo Kripaya Tavadam Gajastita Guli Sadrisha Vichintaya. It's a request, please consider me, Vichintaya. Please consider me as a speck of dhuli. We have different words for dust. Dhuli, pada dhuli, but also raja. So you'll hear of braj raj. Yesterday we experienced lots of braj raj. The dust of braj. Not raja, but raj. And speaking of, so in that verse, I Nanda Tanuja Kinkaram Patitam. So I'm a Kinkara, What's a kinkara?
Servant.
A servant. One who says what to do. Kinkara. And Bhava Ambuddha. I'm in this ocean of Bhava. Not Bhava, but Bhava. I want to get to Bhava. Right? We want to experience, we want to be absorbed in Bhava of Krishna. Krishna Bhavanamrita, the expression Krishna consciousness Prabhupada coined is his translation of Krishna Bhavanamrita. Krishna Bhavana Amrita. Anyway, so, and another thought I had this morning, amongst so many random thoughts as I allowed my mind to wander from chanting, was a thought about chanting. Lord Chaitanya says, Cheto Darpana Marjanam. First phrase of the first verse. What does that mean? Is that stretching or raising your hand? Yes. Cleansing the mirror of the heart. Yeah. So we might think of different physical activities of cleansing, you know, scrubbing, cleaning, scraping, chiseling. The image that came to my mind this morning is you're in a car and it's raining, so you are driving, so you want to be able to see through the windshield, so you turn on the windshield wipers. So chanting is like that. The rain is coming, and so the chanting has to be constant to keep it clear, because the rain of material existence, the rain of distracting thoughts is there constantly. And so we have to constantly clear so that we can see Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama. Who was telling me that this time, anyway, there's often it'll be the case in Indian cars the windshield wiper won't work. Were you telling me? So who was it?
Yeah, he was doing with his hand, driving at the
outside, with the hand, just.
But that was in the 90s. I don't think that now they have good cars.
Because cars are a bit better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, Prabhupada, Prabhupada and a couple of devotees, where were they? The horn didn't work, the car. So, what was it? They had a gong, I think. So Prabhupada, was it Prabhupada himself or one of the devotees? They would hold it out the window. Okay. I'm sorry that I missed the gathering yesterday yesterday afternoon with Purijan Prabhu at Govardhan Valley. Some of you were there? Yes.
Yes.
Many, good. Okay. Would you like to report something from that event? Is that this microphone is here? Yes, Vijakesh.
Hare Krishna. So first it started to turning off our mobile phones in order to just listen the all different sounds of Govardhan Hill. It was very nice, and another thing which I remember was to close eyes, hold the hands to prayer and pray to Giriraj silently, and express glorification and also our deepest spiritual desires.
Yes.
So it was a very intimate moment and good opportunity to be sincere and honest. Yeah. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Did, when you made your prayer, did Giriraj listen?
I hope he did.
I hope so too. Okay.
Prabhu powiedział, wydaje się, że oczywistą rzecz, że Govardhan jest osobą.
Burja Prabhu said what seems to be obvious, that Govardhan is a person.
I było to dla mnie takim oświeceniem w tym momencie.
And that was kind of enlightenment for me in that moment.
I jak później poprosił, żebyśmy modlili się do Govardhana, prosili o coś, to jak miałem to myśl w głowie, że on jest ze sobą, to było to o wiele łatwiejsze.
And when later Prabhu asked to pray to him, to say some words to him, I had still this thought in my mind that he is a person, and it was easier for me to do.
Nice, nice, nice. So what do you think? Was Giriraj listening to your prayer?
Dużo modlitw złożyłem, także
I had many prayers.
You had a whole list, a whole shopping list.
Także mam nadzieję, że jeszcze do wyjazdu w jakiś sposób mi odpowie, bo może musi to przemyśleć.
Maybe he had to think about it, and I hope he will answer me before I will leave.
Before you leave here.
Tak.
Yes.
Okay. So you'll have to go again and say, so I submitted my request, so
Myślę, że
Yes.
pieśń, którą śpiewamy codziennie, ona tak może trochę oświetlić, bo to jest taką w pewnym stopniu tak szantażuje Pana. Czyli tak.
I think that this song that we are singing to Lord,
Tak, tak.
this one to Lord Gauranga is kind of, giving courage to do so, because Narottam Thakur is, as you said, challenging Gauranga. So.
yeah, nice.
For me, the best part was when His Grace Buddhism Prabhu invited us to introduce ourselves to Giriraj and to share our lives to him. And I never did that. Whenever I'm here, just try to pray, try to ask for something, but I never introduced myself to him, even though I tried to get to know him, but I never said who I am, what is my life, what's trouble, all kinds of stuff happen in our life. So when I did that, I felt like that, I don't know, now he knows me more.
So he might listen instead of, yeah. You walk up to someone, you start talking with them, they kind of after a while say, excuse me, but who are you?
Hare Krishna. Yes, it was a wonderful experience to again introduce ourselves to Govardhan. I would like to share a few points from His Grace Buddha Prabhu's talk. First, the fun one, he said that Govardhan is the original rock star. He said what pleases Govardhan the most. What pleases Govardhan the most is from the background to assist other devotees in their devotional service. And then one devotee asked a very nice and I would say also for us useful question. When we go back to our homes, how to stay in this mood in which we are, in the holy Dham, how to remember Govardhan and holy Dham. And Buddha Prabhu told that listening recordings of the classes which we heard here, he recommended taking as many mental pictures as possible. And he said that we should always miss being in Vrindavan.
Always feel like we miss.
Yeah, always feel that we miss Vrindavan. And it was such a wonderful experience to listen from Buddhijam Prabhu, from Mahatma Prabhu, who also lived some years in Vrindavan, from persons who do have relationship with the Holy Dham. And Buddhijam Prabhu was speaking how material world is dead. These places, Holy Dham, are alive and they can reciprocate.
They're alive. And they can reciprocate. That's nice. Thank you. Any other of the gents want to share something? If you were there. Something Vikram mentioned yesterday. Who was it? He was talking with someone. The question came how to share Vrindavan with others outside of Vrindavan. And the answer was, live here for a longer time. So you will naturally abide, and then you will be able to carry outside, which is what Srila Prabhupada I can't say the same in my case. Maybe I have to start spending more time here. Raj Bihari Prabhu is nodding.
For our sake.
Krishna, Krishna. Okay, nice, thank you. So, we can continue with some discussion of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Harinama Chintamani. And we're jumping around. You're going away. Don't go.
Okay.
At least don't go before I express my thanks to you, because I don't know if I'll get a chance later, because we're coming to the end of our retreat. And so I want to thank you you came all the way from the Wild West.
We're so happy that you came, Maharaj, and so happy that we had the opportunity to serve all these wonderful devotees. It's really, as we were hearing, the nicest thing to do to please Govardhan is to serve his devotees. So I'm really happy that we were able to serve the devotees here, and I hope they can overlook our shortcomings and remember all the longcomings.
Oh, longcomings. That's a new word. I like that. Longcomings, shortcomings, longcomings. Shortcomings, long goings? No. Yeah. So,
I also
yes.
I think it's really special because you chose to have a longer retreat, and I think that it was like 10 days, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's the mercy of Giriraj and association of you and other devotees that goes deeper in that longer period of time.
It soaks in more. Yeah, well, my thought was kind of practical devotees. It's a major action for devotees to come here. So since they're coming, let's spend a bit more time.
So we thank you for bringing the devotees here and for coming.
No, we thank you. No, we thank you. No, we thank you.
Swan eat swan world out there. It's a swan eat swan world out there.
It's a swan. Instead of a dog eat dog world, it's a swan. It's a swan. Do swans eat swans? Okay, we're getting silly. Anyway, thank you so much. Braji Hari Prabhu ki jai. Yeah. No, I didn't want to make you stay.
I'll stay.
Some Harinama Chintamani. So, as I said, we've been jumping around. We jumped right into the 12th chapter, which had to do with the issue of inattention. On the road, sometimes you'll see, you won't see it in English, you'll see it in Hindi, or you'll see the word sabdan. Sa-avadana is the Sanskrit, with attention. So they're saying, watch out. And the aparada that is discussed in chapter 12 is apadana, lack of attention, or I think he says unavadana. That's it, unavadana. So, inattention. Then we went back to the offense of considering the holy name as being one of so many ritualistic activities we discussed briefly. But now I want to jump further forward, whatever it is, to chapter 13, which Bhaktivinoda Thakur calls aham mama bhava aparadha. The aparadha of having the bhava, the mood of aham mama. And first he quotes from the Padma Purana, Shrutvapi nama mahatmyam. Ya priti rahito adamaha aham mamadi paramo namni so api aparada krit. One who has heard the glories of the transcendental holy name of the Lord, but nevertheless continues in a materialistic concept of life, thinking, I and this body and everything belonging to this body is mine, aham mama iti. aham mameti, and does not show respect and love for the chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, that is an offense. So the positive thing, what we're after, is priti. That's in the verse. And priti rahita would be devoid, lack of priti, lack of affection, lack of love, respect and love in this translation. So aham mameti, this is the problem. Aham mama. And we understand this is identified very much with the technical term ahamkara, right? Ahamkara is sometimes translated as false ego. I read a bit of one modern commentary on Patanjali Yoga Sutras, and the person gave a very interesting analogy for the false ego, that there's some area of land, maybe there's some trees, and it is what it is, it's just there. And then a dog comes along and passes urine on this tree, and then on that tree, and then next to that tree and that bush. And in this way the dog is defining a territory that other dogs will recognize, this is somebody, this area belongs to somebody, I better watch out, or it might be a fight. So the false ego is like the dog going around chalking out its territory. So we do that. We're chalking out all kinds of territory by identifying ourselves in any number of ways that we do. And we want to assert that ourselves as being, I am this, and I possess this. And by this we then identify ourselves. So in the analogy, the land minus the dog, with some trees and whatever, it's like, it's material nature. We might want to say spiritual nature, in which we come and spoil it with our with our ahamkara urine. And it wasn't needed. There was no need for this arrangement of the dog. But we come and we think, no, I have to define my space like this. So we're constantly doing this in so many ways. And that is ahamkara. And that gets in the way of pure chanting of the holy name. So again, the analogy I think I gave just before you came in Brajbihari was, we have the Cheto Darpana Marjanam analogy of polishing the mirror, but I was thinking about this in terms of seeing clearly, and we need to constantly be connected with Krishna, and the analogy I thought of was the windshield wipers on a car when it's raining. It's raining, the rain is coming, it's obscuring the view, you're trying to drive forward. Unless the glass is cleared, you're not going to see clearly. It could be dangerous. So you have the windshield wiper, and it's going and going and going and going. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama. And the rain is coming. Sometimes rain can be very strong, so you turn the windshield wipers up to the highest speed. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Okay. Bhaktivinoda Thakur first glorifies Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Govardhan Prabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, who is the life of Janavidhi. I think that's significant. It's kind of a tangent from the discussion, but devotees are not aware so much that the initiating guru of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, what was his name?
Vipin Bihari.
Vipin Bihari Goswami was in a line of gurus going back to Janava Devi. And there are, at least there's one song, there's more than one song where Bhaktivinoda Thakur is acknowledging this connection. He doesn't mention his guru directly, as I remember, but he mentions this connection to Janava Devi, and he prays to her. So here he's remembering Nityananda, the life of Janava Devi. He praises Advaita Acharya, the husband of Sita, and glories to all the devotees of the Lord. And then he continues, because this is a discussion of Srila Haridas Thakur with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Haridas Thakur says, please hear, O Lord, of the lowest offense. When this offense is present, pure love for the holy name will not arise. So, the Bengali of that was, well, first of all, Preme Gada Gada Haridasa Mahashoy. So, with his voice choked with love, Preme Gada Gada. Haridas is in an intense emotional mood as he's speaking the Harinama Chintamani. Shuno Prabhu, E Aparada Sarva Adama. The word Adama is there, meaning lowest in this context, you can say. E doshe name prema nahoy udgama. So dosha, which is, I always have to remind devotees, is different from a dosa. A dosa is a very nice South Indian preparation. A rice pancake, very thin, very nice. That's a dosa. But a dosha is a fault. E doshe name prema. Prema nahoy utkama. There will not be the arising of prema as long as there is this offense, which is adama. What does adama mean? Lowest. Or, yeah, it can mean something like without position. Without, there's no without position, without status. Then he reviews the 6 principles of Sharanagati. We won't linger on this, but what is it? sankalpa, pratikulyas, anukulyasya sankalpa, pratikulyasya varjanam rakshishyanti ti vishvasa, rikshashiti, rakshishyati. That's what I'm trying to say. Why don't you say rakshishyati? Iti. Vishvasa, having the faith. I mentioned, focus a little on this. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says this is the core. This is the core of the Sharanagati process of the 6 elements of surrender, is thinking or having the faith, being convinced, Vishvasa, Rakshishati, the Lord will protect me. Which comes back to the point I was making earlier about Patita. Fallen in one sense, yes, there may be more or less fallen, but anyone with a material body is, we're in this world of birth and death, and we're all facing the same cliff that we're all going to get pushed off of one day. We're all lined up. You know, there's a path and there's a drop, and we're all one after another. We're getting pushed off the cliff. Rakshishati, Krishna will protect me. A little in advance of where we're going this afternoon, we can anticipate we'll have darshan of Nrsingadev in the temple. What was Prahlad Maharaj? What was his meditation as he was being thrown off a cliff? We talked about this the other day. Namo Brahmanya Devaya Go Brahmanantaya Cha Jaganataya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Vishnu Purana. He's flying through the air with the greatest of ease, we say it in English. And what is he doing? He's offering one prayer after another, which includes this prayer. And then the Lord catches him in his form, according to the priests at the Singhachalam temple in India. The deity there is a combined form of Nrsinga and Varaha. And Varaha scoops up, so Varaha Nrsinga is there, and Prahlad is sailing through the air with the greatest of ease. The devotee things, here's some. Okay, going on some more reflection. Bhaktivinoda seems to really like to elaborate about the feeling of being fallen. Have you noticed many of the songs? We've been online, we've been going through one after another the songs. We went through the entire Sharanagati collection. We've been working gradually through the Kalyana Kalpataru collection. And he really gets into this about being, I am so fallen. And one song we recently went through, discussed, sang, was quite interesting in that in the same quite short song, he speaks about being the most fallen and hoping and anticipating to be taken up by the Lord, to be engaged in intimate service. You know, I'm the most fallen, please engage me in, fanning you and offering you tampuva and like that. Very interesting. But here he says, I am poor and penniless. Penniless. Of all persons, I am the most worthless, like a pile of ashes. No one is more fallen and unfortunate than you. But it's like that here. The next verse, he says, I am always a servant in Lord Krishna's household. By Lord Krishna's wish, I am engaged in various activities. And then, connected to the theme of this chapter, this aham mameti problem, he says, renouncing all thoughts of I am the doer, I am the giver, I am the protector, this is my body, this is my house, these are my children, this is my wife, I am a brahmana, I am a shudra, I am a father, I am a husband, I am a king, I am a subject, I am the protector of my children. The surrendered soul rests his thoughts in Lord Krishna. Instead, he thinks, so now the positive, Krishna is doer. Only by Krishna's wish does someone become powerful. Let's see if I can find this in the thing. Okay, this is going to be... One moment, bear with me. Sharanapati. He calls it Sharanapati. There's Sharanagati, but Sharanapati. Ahamte Aruchitaha. Let's see. Ami. Yeah. No. Yes, no. Okay. Ami karta, ami data. Data. I am a giver. I am a giver. Look at me. I am so generous. Ami karta, I'm the doer. Ami data, I'm the giver. Ami palayita, I'm protector, etc. Okay, I won't linger on that. So we always want to know, all right, there's this aparat, so what's the cure? What's the solution? Well, first he says, anyone who, with a sincere heart, surrenders to the Lord is a great soul. And then the opposite, he says, anyone who does not surrender in these 6 ways is the lowest of persons. Making the mistake of thinking in terms of I and mine. He is worthless like a pile of ashes. So, now at this point we might say, well, okay, so I want to be a Mahatma, I don't want to be a Duratma. So that means I have to have a sincere heart and surrender in these 6 ways. I have to do that. Okay, I'll do it. Okay, now I'm doing it, so now I'm a great soul. Anybody notice how great I am? Whoops. And we're slipping back, isn't it? So it's a tricky thing. Look at me, I'm surrendered. Yes. Look at you. Oh, he really goes on about this condition of thinking of aham mama. I am the protector, I give shelter, this is my wife, this is my brother, these are my daughters, these are my sons. There was that episode, Prabhupada was with a few of his disciples, I believe it was in Mumbai. They were at the home of a life member, one of these, some are very wealthy life members. And the head of the household, they're all very pious people. The head of the household was introducing his family. There was an extended family. This is my wife, this is, it was going, wife, daughter, son, another son, wife's, so many family members. And then I guess they all left the room, and Prabhupada said under his breath to his disciples, sort of like he's expressing what is the head of the household actually saying. It was kind of a shocking thing. Prabhupada said, "This is my sex life." Yeah. They were all brahmacharis, I think, so he was making that point with that. I earn money because of my efforts. All I do turns out well. In this way, all becomes good. So he's giving these as examples of people thinking I and mine. They are very proud of what they think they know. That's interesting. Of course, this is especially a disease of the scholars. In the university, everyone is kind of what's the word? Everyone is strutting around. You know the word strut? To strut is to walk proudly. So everyone's kind of strutting about, thinking, I know so much about this topic or that topic. And they're displaying their knowledge to others. So that's also he says they may have elaborate knowledge of various skills or crafts, but because of their impious deeds, they do not know that the Supreme Lord controls everything. Hearing the glories of the holy name, they do not believe them. But even if they don't, he says, sometimes they will chant, they will still mention the holy name. And even, he says, even if they speak the name of Krishna without respect, their utterance of the holy name brings them some pious credit. That's why devotees are happy when people chant in a joking way or any way that they chant Hare Krishna. Especially here in India, when they see the Western devotees, people smile and they will say Harinama, Hare Krishna. Selfie. Or selfish. Yeah, I was asked once in Mayapur by some family, they ran up to me with a phone. Selfish? Yes, it is. Okay, here we go. The way to renounce this fault. Do you want to know how to renounce this fault, this dosha? No?
Yes.
No, I like this fault. I like to. Thinking that Lord Krishna is one's only wealth. One should worship Lord Krishna's feet. Let's see if we can find the Bangla. It's kind of sweeter in Bangla. Edosha Tyager Upai. Here we go. Niskinchana bhave bhaje Shri Krishna charana Vishaya charya kore nama sankirtana. So niskinchana bhave, in the mood of being niskinchana. Akinchana, niskinchana. We know this. Kinchana is this, the question word kim, what, and kan, and the answer is kinchana, something. And akinchana is without something, without anything, or niskinchana, same thing. So niskinchana bhave. Then say ye, okay, say sadhujane andeshiya tara shango koribe shebibe chadi vishaye terror. What is it? Vishaya taranga, okay. Vishaya taranga. Okay, let's see what translation of that would be. Turning away from the waves of sense pleasure, one should seek out saintly devotees, associate with them, and serve them. I mean, this is a refrain through this whole book of Harinama Chintamani. Seek out the association of saintly devotees and associate with them. The waves of sense gratification, we talked briefly about this the other day. There's 6 kinds of unsteadiness, anishtata, bhakti, and the last of them is called taranga rangini, enjoying the waves. Enjoying the waves, enjoying the benefits, the side benefits, the what's the word? The extras, the perks. Yeah, that's it. Enjoying the perks of devotion. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, Andeshiya Tara Shanga Koribe Sevive Chadi Vishaya Taranga. Yeah, Vishaya Taranga. The waves, the Taranga, the tsunami. There's a constant wave. The rain is always coming. We have to keep the windshield wipers going to clear, so we can have the clear vision. What's the reality? What's the real situation? Where am I really? I'm in this material world. Watch out. There's danger when you're driving. There's other cars. There's trucks. There's all sorts of dangers. Krame krame name mati hoive shangar aham ta mamanta jobe maya hobe par. Meaning, gradually, one's thoughts will be fixed in the holy name. One will go beyond Maya, beyond the realm of I and mine. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is very positive. Gradually, one's thoughts will be fixed on the holy name. So I'm always calling attention to Mahatma Prabhu's little book of affirmations, japa affirmations. I saw it, he has it available. If you don't have his little book, japa affirmations, and if you still have a few rupees left, I highly recommend his book. It's very nice. It's affirmations. What is an affirmation? An affirmation is a positive statement in the present tense, which even if it's not true, you hear by making the affirmation, you're opening yourself to a possibility that otherwise your mind was closed to. Your mind was telling you, it's not like this, I'm not attracted to the holy name, I'm not, etc., everything negative, all of which just gets reinforced and becomes a program of self-defeat. He now also has a t-shirt available with one of his affirmations. When I chant, I chant. Oh, you're there. Okay. When I chant, yeah. When I chant, I do everything but chant. Yeah, so Bhaktivinoda Thakur is giving the example. He's already, long before Mahatma Prabhu, he's giving affirmations. Gradually, one's thoughts will be fixed in the holy name. And the next line, he says, hearing the glories of the holy name, one will turn away from thoughts of I and mine. One will become a surrendered devotee. Anybody up for that? Anybody interested in that? No? Okay. So let's see, it was krame, name, and then namer mahatmya shuni aham mama bhava chadya sharanagati bhaktir shobhav. The svabhava, the very nature of bhakti will manifest. The very character, the very nature of bhakti. And here's one more verse here. They who surrendered to the holy name are great souls. Chanting Lord Krishna's holy name, they attain the great treasure of love for Lord Krishna. Prema Maha Dana. And the verse in Bengali is Namer Sharanagata Jai Mahajan Krishna Nama Kori Hai Prema Mahadan. Haya means to gain. So Krishna Nama Kore. Kore means doing. It's from, all the different forms of the verb to do, to act, to make. Karma is action. So all of that. Krishna Nama Kore, when doing Krishna Nama, Pai, one gets. What does one get? Prema Mahadana. Dana means wealth, and Mahadana means great wealth, so Prema Mahadana. It's an affirmation. Okay, so that's cool. Isn't it? What do you think? Is it possible? Shambho Bhave? Is it possible to reach this? I'm, as Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj many years ago in Mayapur was giving the Bhagavatam class. 1,000 devotees in the room. And he was really on a roll. I mean, he was really preaching. He was shouting. What was he shouting? I don't remember. I just remember he was shouting. But it was, we got to straighten up and fly right, kind of a message he was giving. Let's do it right. Let's spread this mission. Let's be devotees. He was shouting, and then at one point, for a moment, he stopped and he said softly, he said, "Don't mind me, I'm just preaching to myself." And then he continued. It was very sweet. Yeah. Any thoughts, reflections on this idea? What about this idea of affirming the possibilities? We wake up in the morning, we start chanting our rounds, and we look at our watch and say, okay, I've got this much time, I'm going to do this, and there's not a whole lot of sense of urgency, of this is it, of I now have this fantastic opportunity. That may be there in the background. Yeah, we heard something in a seminar, in a japa retreat. How to bring all of that forward and make it have a sense of urgency and a sense of possibility. Urgency sometimes sounds too much like, oops, I'm really in a state of fear. If I don't do this, then... And Bhaktivinoda Thakur elsewhere, Jivadharma maybe, he explains, maybe in this Chaitanya Shikshamrita, there's religion based on fear, there's religion based on hope, there's religion based on duty, and there's bhakti. Right? There's fear is the lowest, then hope, you pray to get things. And we talked about that, we heard about that's a kind of betrayal of the heart. Then there's duty, that's much of what Krishna is preaching to Arjuna. This is your duty, just do it. And then there's bhakti, which is beyond all of that. And bhakti, we can say, now we're going from religion to spirituality. So how do we get there on the bhakti level? That's what Bhaktivinoda Thakur is encouraging us to do. Any reflections on any of this so far? Yes, Prajmal.
Krishna Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much for the explanations about this parable.
I'm just reading. But yes.
Thank you so much for helping us remember this and understand them. In this retreat, I was trying something before my japa. I was reading Rupa Goswami's Namastakam every morning before chanting. And then, since you were also talking about affirmations, I was reflecting on how it is also like an affirmation. Well, an affirmation is, I guess, basically a tool to break the psychological obstacles we have and break the thoughts we have about ourselves, how we will do certain things, sometimes unconscious thoughts. And I really liked how in Namastakam, Rupa Goswami first glorifies the holy name, and then he's like, even if you are chanted once, you destroy all the. Even if you are chanted once sincerely, you destroy all the terrible pains of a person. And then he says, you destroy the past karma of the person. And then he remembers Krishna, and then he says. Then he starts to glorify the holy name, but again always reminding us the effect on holy name on us, like you destroy all the pains of a person, and then he says, but you are also a festival in Gokula, and then you throw the person into an ocean of bliss, and then he prays, please appear in my tongue with this pleasure of chanting. So I really like how he was saying, even if you are chanted once sincerely, you have these effects. And then he prepares the psychology, and then he prays, please appear in my tongue, please give me this pleasure of chanting.
He's addressing the holy name throughout the Namastakam, right?
Yes, he's
Yeah.
addressing the holy name.
And then elsewhere, even though, okay, one name is great, but then elsewhere, where is it? The famous verse where he's expressing a longing to have not 2 ears and 1 tongue, but countless ears and tongues to relish, because the potential to relish is there, because the name is relishable unlimitedly, and so he expresses in that way. If I just had more ears and more tongues, then I could really relish. So he's suggesting by that the potential is, or it's all there in the name, and if only we could access it. Okay, let's take Munishwar first, and then Jai Jagannath.
Yeah, I just had an interesting thought when you brought up this analogy with a dog in the territory. So in the Canadian native tradition, they're saying something like, how was it? The less footprints you leave behind in your life, the more successful is or was your life. So which is pretty much the opposite of our Western tradition, right? I was here.
I was here.
Yeah. And you can sometimes see that, but I was here. The light is on the wall, which is really interesting. So, yeah, kind of interesting that they have that there. I mean,
we're passing urine on so many trees. Yeah, thank you.
I wanted to ask, or say, when we ask ourselves why we're not advancing, or we ask our gurus and teachers why we're not advancing, the answer that we get is offenses, which is what we're also hearing about in Bhaktivinoda Thakur. believe that's the right answer, and it's the standard answer also that we hear from our teachers and from ourselves. And so because it's the standard answer, it has also become like a really convenient excuse not to examine ourselves so deeply. Because we already know the answer. Oh, it's offenses. And then, when will I get over offenses? When will we let they be mine? Whatever. And we don't really, like
How they able to say,
I've not experienced a culture anywhere within our sanghas that we're like deeply examining or exploring the question why we're not advancing, at least as a communal conversation. I'm sure there are many devotees who do it personally. So I guess my question is, how do you understand or see the value of self-examination? And how do we do that without being like, without our knowledge of like the structure of advancement, like blocking our ability to self-examine? I don't know if that makes sense. Like we know there's Bhajana Kriya, there's Anishita Bhajana Kriya, there's Nishita Bhajana Kriya, and then after that there's, between the two, there's a Narshana Vritti. So
there's
like
a whole map.
Yeah, so because of our knowledge of the whole structure of development, it almost hijacks our ability to be really self-reflective, because we already know where we're at and where we're going. So I don't have to think about it that much for myself.
I'm at the bottom of the mountain.
Right.
And there's a mountain, and there's a way up the mountain, but I'm at the bottom of the mountain.
And I know if I just chant Hare Krishna, and then the anarchists will go, and then I'll make advancement. It's just like very standard.
And we're very eager to show others how much we know about the details of the map.
Right.
Yeah, here are all the signposts.
So, I guess my question is, how do we examine ourselves without our knowledge of the structures of advancement actually blocking our ability to self-reflect and see where we need to really put effort so that we might actually develop?
Yeah. Sometimes I think, for myself, the way to kind of get real about where I am is to picture myself alone in a room with Srila Prabhupada. And Prabhupada is looking up and saying, so? And I'm trying to explain myself. Yes, I'm doing this, and I'm doing that, and I'm doing the other thing. And he's saying, yes, so? But your question is why? What is stopping us from that? What is stopping is it's a certain negative momentum, perhaps, and a certain belief in a promise that if I just keep going, even if I am actually just going in circles instead of climbing, if I just keep going. We had a kind of a mantra years ago in Germany when distributing books on the streets, and it was really tough sometimes. Then we'd express our frustration to the other devotees, and the answer was always einfach weitermachen, which means just keep going. Just keep going. There was another mantra, and that was, das ist nur dein Geist. It's just your mind. So we tend to then take shelter of those kind of mantras. Okay, I'll just keep going. because there is some truth to it, but it's also true that we need to stop at some point and say, yes, but really, yeah, but okay, but really, what do I do? What should I be not thinking? What is it that is preventing me from moving forward? What are the habits of my mind that I need to break out of? I don't think I have a clear and definite answer beyond what Bhaktivinoda Thakur gives, associate with devotees. Because it's kind of, we're trying to jump over our shadow, isn't it? So maybe the point is not to try to jump over the shadow, but to acknowledge the shadow. And maybe this is where we're missing the point, is we have these ideals that are way, way up there, and we say, yeah, that's where I'm going, that's where I'm going. Oh, but I've got all these shadows. No, I'll just ignore them. Maybe instead of ignoring, it's about acknowledging it. Okay, that's there, and that's there, and that's there. Recognizing, and coming back to the analogy of the map, seeing where you really are. If you want to get from point A to point B, you need to first know where you really are on the map before you can go. So it's about being honest, self-honest about where am I. And I mean, truth be told, sometimes I look at that map and I see I'm not even on the map. It's like every day I have to start all over again. So these are my thoughts. Something further on that? Yes, Ramana.
Yeah, at this point, I think we are missing a self-dialogue because we have the culture now in our society to kind of, it's more a monologue. We are trained to shut up and listen. And even if we are walking on the map, as we did sometime, I mean, here in the Marigram, everybody before ourselves, we chanting, but we don't have a dialogue. So we cannot really express, we miss to express ourselves. And maybe, this is what the association of devotees in my understanding means, as Rupa Goswami says in the Nectar of Instruction, that we have to reveal our hearts.
Guhyam akhyati pritchati.
But as we are with ourselves, even in a group, we are afraid to addressing points because we think maybe it's offensive, maybe it's not what I'm meant to be as a devotee, maybe, So even if we have free time, we see many devotees, immediately plugging the ears to listen to the next monologue. And because we don't have this tradition amongst each other to communicate, we also not trained to communicate with ourselves. And then, as you said, something comes up and you say, oh, it's just the mind, don't listen. But sometimes it's maybe good to allow even the mind to also reflect. But I think the mind is not always a bad guy. Maybe sometimes it tells us also something what maybe we should reflect on it. And even if we then find out it's irrelevant, but still this question was there, and we have to find out where this question comes from.
Yeah.
So it was not really a question, it was more a thought on this thought of Chaitanya.
Yeah, more dialogue with others, with ourselves. And that leads me, since our time is coming to an end this morning, to another plug, another reminder. Remember, pleased that we all are going to have out of this retreat a kind of tangible, aside from our personal realizations and what we're taking with us, within us, we want to have a sort of tangible product in the form of a book, which we all want to write something for. And I was mentioning the other day, one possible way for you to write is in the form of a dialogue. It can be fun actually to write like a drama or since you brought that up, I thought this could be something you could consider. And I'm also thinking of dialogue because, you know me, sometimes I read things other than our shastras. So, I know you don't do this. But I started reading a downloaded free sample of a Kindle book, which I may actually get the whole book. It's a collection of writings from one anthropologist from the mid-20th century, very interesting. And one section, he's written dialogues with his daughter, and they're fascinating. They're philosophical discussions, and it's like he has a young daughter. I think it's not just recording what actually was said, but he kind of makes it like that. So it's, Daddy, Daddy, why is it that everything becomes such a muddle? She uses the word muddle. Muddle means a mess. Daddy, Daddy, why does everything become a muddle? So then it becomes a whole discussion of, well, what do you mean by a muddle? And what is your idea of muddle as opposed to someone else's idea of muddle? And in this way, it becomes a kind of Socratic discourse. But anyway, I'm just mentioning that it can be a nice way. Yes, and your daughter is always asking questions.
Thank you for that. Just a thought that came with this discussion also is that like an artist can also be helpful. Like if we self-analyze and see that we are actually just on the bottom of this mountain, and we have so like if we are honest and we see where we really are, then this like low position can be an impetus for being even more like desperate time.
Yes, when we realize, where am I? No, I can't stay here. Right. Thank you. Yes, Mamindra, and then we'll end. Wait. Oh, wait. Stop.
Hare Krishna, thank you very much. Only a short technical question, please, to our writing. What should be the minimum, what we should write, and the maximum that it was?
Minimum, maximum length. Yeah, well, minimum, there's no minimum really. If you want to write a haiku poem that's 5 syllables, 7 syllables, 5 syllables, bas. I have a godbrother who writes, he has a whole book of Krishna Lila in haiku form. It's really nice. No minimum. Maximum, I think we'll keep with what we did on the previous book of devotees' writings of 1,200 words, 1,200 words. Unless you're really on a roll. Basically, the idea is to keep it compact and focused, not rambling. And it's not, how to say this, we need to find a balance. It's easy to write indulgent writing, where it's self-indulgent, where you're just talking about yourself. I, me, and mine. I am so fallen. I'm all this and I'm all that. And oh, how fallen I am. Unless you can do it in a nice way, like Bhaktivinoda Thakur, then it can become a kind of, like I was saying, the devotee said, Prabhupada, I'm the most fallen. You're not so special. So, making something substantial and not just dragging on and on. It's sort of, it's good when you write to be thinking of different readers, and one of these readers is kind of an impatient one who says, so what's your point? You know, they've read the first paragraph and they're already impatient. All right, but what's your point? So it's good to think like that. Okay. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki jai. Govardhan.
Govardhan Krishna Kshetra Swami Maharaj ki jai.